Welcome to Sapphire Ridge News. Give people a few minutes to pile in here, and we'll talk about the updated subject. So, let's start out with what the title says, and then we'll drift off into the updated subject. So, this whole Diddy thing, I'm not really into the Diddy thing, but something interesting happened Friday. Oddi, I think his first name is Johnathan Oddi. Hey, Julianne, how are you today? So, I'm not really into the whole Diddy thing, but something came out in court on Friday that I think we need to talk about. Johnathan Oddi was or is, or was, however you want to word it, the sex person, we'll put it that way. Yeah, I had more to talk about because this is really, really disturbing. And it shows how Diddy was connected to everything. But I don't like going into what I call the Diddy sideshow. But part of it is important to show the context. So Johnathan Oddi was the, we'll put it, the sex person. They called him something else, but that was paid to have sex with Cassie in front of Diddy. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. When Johnathan Oddi was arrested in 2018 for shooting up the lobby at Doral, they asked him why he did it. And he looked at the cop and he said, "You don't understand. Clinton and Obama want to take out Trump like JFK." And they poo-pooed it and said, "Oh, no." He said, "No, you don't understand. Diddy is connected to Clinton, he's connected to Obama, and they want Trump taken out." So, what happened last year in Butler, Pennsylvania? They tried to take out Trump like JFK. That means Oddi was telling the truth. Second thing, which I found this out recently, I knew that the FBI was up there and power washed the roof. Before any evidence was collected, they went up and power washed the roof. They also took Thomas Crook's body and had it cremated without his parents' permission before any autopsy could be done. Well, like a in-depth autopsy. Yeah, I just watched interview Maria Bartiromo, who I love, just interviewed Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. And Kash Patel looked right at the camera. He said, "Those days are over." He said, "You don't understand the level of corruption we're dealing with." He said, The previous administration, meaning Ray, made it a requirement for the field offices to get a promotion. They had to come and spend 18 months at DC, and they got paid an extra per diem and other stuff. He said that is over. He said in about 6 or 8 weeks, we're sending 1,500 agents from DC out into the field. He said, they're cops. Let them go be cops. And I thought, yes, I got to talk about this. This is a good thing. You know what I mean? But back to the oddi thing for a second. He told them in 2018 that this was going to happen, and they didn't believe him. Yes, Crossfire Hurricane documents are coming out. Plus, one of the things that disturbed me in that interview is Dan Bongino saying, without a doubt, Epstein committed suicide. That is not true, because Jesse Waters' friend was the person from the morgue assigned to pick up the body, and he said when he got there to pick up the body, there were 8 other people in the cell rearranging the cell. That means it was not suicide. It was made to look like suicide. You follow what I'm saying? And if it was made to look like suicide and the FBI gets the report from after everything was changed, they wouldn't know that it was changed. Am I right? And this whole thing with Comey thought he was going to get away with that stunt, that 8647. He's not getting away with it. He was picked up last night along with his wife and taken to headquarters, and they were both questioned. And out of that questioning, the report this morning is that there are going to be further investigations, which is a good thing, because Comey is the dirtiest cop I've ever seen. He's dirty. I got cops in my family, so I know a dirty cop, and I know a good cop. Yeah, I heard that. And I heard that he's not well at all. That the first day of trial, before they even brought in the jury, that he had to ask for an emergency bathroom break, and they claimed that he barely made it to the bathroom. Karma. Karma. And I watched Megyn Kelly yesterday. I like Megyn. Megyn cannot stand Diddy. And she said it has nothing to do with his music. She said when Cassie testified that Diddy forced the sex worker to pee in her mouth until she gagged and almost puked, and then he ordered it to continue, she said, he's a perverted, filthy, disgusting fucking pig. And she said, number one, she said, they proved their case. She said, Rico, she said, they proved that he hired a sex worker to come across state lines. They proved that they proved the kidnapping because Cassie testified that she was running away from the freak off and that Diddy chased her down the hall. He was wearing a towel and he grabbed her by the hair and drug her back in the room and forced her to continue. She said, that's kidnapping. That's coercion, dragging her down the hallway. She said they proved their case right there. She said, as far as the RICO, she said, they will call in every person that worked for him. And if one person says, yeah, he had me do XYZ, she said they proved RICO. She said, because RICO is you influencing someone who works for you to do something that's not legal. She said, that's RICO, and that's. Yeah, that happened. I've seen that. Shirley Temple was treated awful. And her mom always tried to save her, and the the brass was always one step ahead of her mom. Like Brett Cooper. Did I ever tell you the story about Brett Cooper? Brett Cooper was a child star. And she had a awesome mom who told her, anytime you want to leave this place, you tell me, let's go, and we're gone. And her mom always protected her, told her what to do, put her in uh, defensive classes that were just for women. So, and she said they taught us what to watch out for, that it was not okay for people to touch our body parts, and what to do if they did, and how to act and how to behave. And she said, God bless my mom for putting me in that. And then she described her friend needed a part because their show was coming to an end. And her friend asked her to go with. What her friend didn't know was that Brett was the target of the writer that was having her come to dinner. And I'll explain. Brett said that all through dinner, this writer kept telling them that his fantasy was for the two of them to be in a script as lesbian lovers. She was 12 years old. 12. And she said, after that dinner, when they got up to leave, the producer put his hand in her back pocket and she said, no, no, that's not okay. You don't touch me there. And so she said, that writer did not say a word, pivoted, put his hand in her friend's back pocket, and her friend walked off with him. And then her friend called her later and told her, yeah, I have to do this. I need this next show and I have to do whatever they tell me or I'm fired. She said, do not tell my mom. And she said, she told her, you need to tell your mom. And she said that I have not spoken to her since because she hung up and said, saying, I have to do this. Leave me alone. How disgusting is Hollywood gotten? I mean, there has been rumors over the years about Hollywood and their focus on kids and child actors, but that's just outright disgusting to tell two 12-year-olds that they're the writer, rather, telling two 12-year-old girls that his dream is for the two of them to be in a script as lesbians. That's outright disgusting, isn't it? We need to go in, somebody like Donald Trump needs to go into Hollywood and just friggin' clean house. I heard that and it's like, that's just gross. Yeah, he wanted Michael Jackson and Prince out, and Kim Porter said, she said a couple of things. She is was in the process of writing a book when she mysteriously died of pneumonia. She said, if anything happens to me, Diddy did it. And she also said that she has proof that Diddy killed Tupac. That Tupac was horning in, I guess that's the right word, on Diddy's East Coast music business, and he wanted him out by any means necessary. He wanted him out by any means necessary. And she also hinted that he was behind Biggie getting taken out. She's she's got a manuscript that she wrote. She died like I think 2 or 3 years ago. Sudden pneumonia. You don't get sudden pneumonia. What's wrong with these morons that they say, oh, well, it's pneumonia, case closed. She was she was not known to be frequently sick. She was considered a very healthy person. Yeah, Tupac was shot near Vegas. That's right. But look up Kim Porter. Kim Porter is Diddy's ex girlfriend, and she's got a manuscript for a book that's going to be coming out in the next year. But she was, yeah, I think it's just very suspicious that she suddenly died when she's writing a book. Cool. Two views on X. I wish they would come over and say hi and tell us where they're from. Because a lot of stuff going on. And that and other things. Crossfire Hurricane is a big deal. So much going on right now. And the Dems are still fired up about the Qataris giving us a plane. They're giving it to our military. And I understand the reasoning behind it. For almost 2 decades, we have provided military protection for Qatar. And our previous presidents have not allowed them to pay for it. They can afford to pay for it. And the Qatari president said that he wanted to give this plane to the military as as a gift to show that they appreciate what we've done for them. But he's not giving it to Donald Trump. He's giving it to the military. And he said if they want to use it for Air Force One or anything else, it's on them. And these stupid Dems are still fired up about Donald Trump getting a plane from the Qataris. Now I show 4 people on X. Welcome, welcome everyone. But it's just, these people are insane. You know, and what trips up the Democrats is the Qatari, I call him premier, some people call him president, but he's like a prince that became president, so they call him premier. It's like, whatever. He said that after Donald Trump leaves office, that he wants this plane to go immediately to Donald Trump's library. He does not want Donald Trump to fly it around afterwards or anyone else to fly it around afterwards. He wants it to go to Donald Trump's library. And another thing that gets lost in this whole thing, okay, Qatar is the number one country for AI. They are investing $1.4 trillion into our AI system. That's huge, isn't it? $1.4 trillion in our AI system. That's a huge deal. And, you know, Donald Trump, in one visit to the Middle East, changed how business is done around the entire world. In one Middle East visit. Think about what else he's going to be able to do. So he apparently told Iran, and I think this is hilarious, kind of. He told Iran that if he is unalived and it shows that Iran was the source of it, that he's told his people to annihilate Iran. Now, whether that's all true or not, we don't know, but it got the attention of the mullahs in Iran because suddenly they're willing to do a deal with Donald Trump and give him whatever he wants. Lockheed Martin has in technology blows away any AI. That does not surprise me. Lockheed Martin has a lot of cool stuff that's going to be coming out. Excuse me. Lockheed Martin owns Skunk Works, and Skunk Works was the company that came out with the original stealth airplane. I think it's Lockheed Martin that owns Skunk Works. But anyhow, Skunk Works came out with the original stealth airplane. Yeah, yep. And they're trying to say that MH377 was one of them, but then there is wreckage that came up ashore in off the coast of Africa that nobody wants to talk about. Yeah, I know they've been working on plasma technology for a while. My nephew's friend works at, I think it's Lockheed Martin. Yeah, but with the plasma technology stuff, if they used a plasma weapon, there would be nothing left. There would be no wreckage because the plasma technology would eat it up. That's what I'm trying to say. Because with a plasma weapon, you go through a hole, I call it a hole, in the sky, and it literally destroys everything. Yeah, the plane disappeared near Malaysia, and you know, a lot of weird things. I've heard of the term cold plasma, but I'm used to the just the term plasma tech. Plasma tech, they can draw a hole in the sky as big as an airplane, I call it a hole, and the plane can fly through it and it disintegrates as it goes through. There's literally nothing left. So there would be no wreckage to uh, recover. You know what I mean? Right. You cannot see them. You cannot see them. So some of the things I'm working on for this week are some of the interesting stuff that's going on at the FBI. We could talk forever about the FBI of the past, but I want us to focus on the FBI that's being created. Right. And the non ionized bubble literally disintegrates the plane. Am I right? That once the plane goes through the plasma orbs, there's nothing left on the other side. But one of the interesting things about that MH377 is the pilot wanted to take the plane to Russia. He didn't make it, did he? Um, I'll give you my email and email it to me. My email is sapphireridgeacres at gmail.com. Because once I close out the streaming software, I don't have access to anything within the chat on the streaming software side. But this is a much better streaming software than StreamYard. StreamYard, I struggled for months to learn how to do stuff because it's not user friendly and everything is hid behind different functions, and you got to go to this function to do this and that function to do that, and etc. So it's not user friendly. Okay, I'll go and check out Ashton. Well, that's all I got for you today. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be at noon, my time, be 2 o'clock Eastern, which would be 11 o'clock your time, right, Julianne? Yeah, I hated that about StreamYard. StreamYard, everything is hidden behind this and behind that. And with this software, everything is touch screen. Like for the background scenes behind my my video part, I just hit scenes and it gives me A whole bunch of different ones to choose from. Yes, I did. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We definitely got to talk about that. And we need to talk about Jake Tapper and his book. I haven't read his book, but I've heard about content from his book. Yeah, I hope Zach will be there. I really enjoy when all y'all are there and you ask questions. I'm able to answer your questions and we just have a conversation about what's going on, right? All right. I will see you tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Bye.